Welcome to Rise in Practice. From Lausanne, Switzerland, where nightclubs are once again shut down as of today, sorry about that, Anita, I am Professor Demian Hodari of EHL Lausanne.
And from Eastern Europe, the country of Georgia, welcome to Rise Practical, exactly as Demian says. We are very excited to have you here in my hotel room, and Demian back in Lausanne, to take you through what is the first new segment that we've created in season 2. It's all about travel and tourism and hospitality in practice. Why are we doing this? Because in season 1, some really interesting questions came up about the practical side of travel. How are people traveling? How is that going to impact the industry? How could that impact our careers? So we thought, why don't we every other week have a session where we bring the experts in and they talk about what's really going on and how the industry has had to keep going, pivot, redefine, or quite honestly, in some areas, shut down. Our first one is going to be on something incredibly valuable, which touches all of our lives as travelers. It's about insurance. We're very excited to have with us today for our first practical session, Robin INGLE. He's the CEO of INGLE International Group, which is an international group based out of Canada that works with insurers around the world. He also has within the stable Novus Health and also, on top of that, Intrepid 24/7. Why is Robin with us today? Because he's been on the front line of seeing in the world of travel and tourism, how people responded to the initial shock of what was happening and how has the insurance industry responded as a result. Anything you want to say, Demian, before we hand over to Robin?
You know, before the current pandemic, I never really gave much thought to the whole insurance thing when traveling, never ticked that box, just saved that money, never really had a need for it. And now with all the people that I know having problems traveling and also concerns that I've got about some travels that I've got coming up, I understand more than ever the need for it. And I think even if you're not thinking about buying it, understanding its role is really critical. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what Robin has to say.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Robin, over to you. Stage is yours.
So, going back to 2019, I think the world started realizing that there was a virus out there, but I don't think anybody or any company really understood the magnitude of it. And as we started getting into January, February, we started understanding that this virus was spreading globally. And the insurance industry got affected quite a bit right at the beginning. And I know some of the companies that we worked with in March and April had already lost billions of dollars, US dollars, in providing business interruption insurance, event cancellation insurance. If you think about this, any major event, the Olympics, Wimbledon, they all had insurance in case there was a cancellation of the event itself. And one of our underwriting partners had lost $2.5 billion US by the beginning of April. So there was panic in the insurance industry globally. And then all of the cancellations came in for trip cancellation and trip interruption insurance. That created havoc. You had thousands and thousands of individuals trying to collect from insurance companies who had provided travel insurance products for trip cancellations that might happen. And the problem with that is they did not expect it. Every single client had an issue because no travel was happening. And this became a liquidity issue for the industry itself. And it was also a human power issue. They could not handle all of the requests. That was very, very difficult for them to handle. So they needed time. And I know that they needed time. So the travel industry itself, like airlines, were giving out vouchers because they needed time to figure it out. They couldn't afford to pay out or reimburse all of their customers for those canceled trips. So this was an issue that affected every part of the industry, the insurance industry, the transportation industry, the hospitality industry, restaurants. Everybody was affected by this. And I know that even Lloyd's in the UK has stated that they will have lost, the groups associated with Lloyd's of London will have lost 6 to 7 billion pounds because of COVID, and it's still coming. So this is something that shocked the industry. You do not expect this volume of issues to happen. And the insurance industry is a very conservative industry. It's like the financial industry, very conservative, lots of rules, lots of compliance that they have to do. And it's very hard for them to move very quickly. They want to pay claims. This is something where consumers don't really understand. Insurance companies want to pay claims. They don't want to pay unnecessary claims, but they do want to pay claims. That's part of the service they provide. And when they didn't have the people to be able to do it, or they were worried about their cash, whether they had that, and they were worried about how big this would get, it all was affecting them. And I think what you'll see going forward is companies will slowly develop products that realize, for example, that travel medical is not a loss that they will have in any big degree for COVID. Most of the governments are actually taking the costs for a highly at-risk individual who gets COVID-19. So you see now airlines are providing a built-in coverage for you. They're providing a COVID care product with TUI, for example. Airlines like Virgin Atlantic, Air Canada, Emirates, Etihad, all are building in products. And we know that countries are creating products. I'm involved with a number of countries now who are creating products that will be mandatory for every visitor, but will provide them peace of mind. Allow them, if they feel sick, to get tested, to get immediate medical care, to get repatriated back to their home country, and to make sure that an air ambulance is available and medical crew are there to try to stimulate travel. And I think that's where you'll see the evolution of the insurance industry. They'll be there more and more to support the travel and tourism industry itself with products to help encourage travelers to travel again. You know, the travel industry is evolving all the time. It had to deal last year and the last few years with sustainable travel, environmental issues, cultural issues. These are all issues that the travel industry has had to deal with, and they've had to evolve and change. What's interesting is the insurance industry has to do the same thing. They have to evolve and they have to change to be there to support the industry, support the travelers, and also support the government economic issues that are out there. Travel and tourism is one of the fastest ways that individuals can get a job. They can quickly bring income into a country. You don't need a massive infrastructure for tourism. You just have to have a place where planes can come in and cruise liners can dock. So the industry, the insurance industry, which is very conservative, has to evolve also to take into account adventure travel, to take into account a pandemic and all the protocols and procedures that an individual has to go to travel. I think these are all important parts of the overall travel and tourism industry, and the travel industry has to step up. It's interesting, a lot of the products in the travel industry haven't changed in the last, and the travel insurance industry haven't changed in the last 20, 30 years. So you're starting to see companies look at alternatives, building in technology solutions with the insurance, and also coordinating services with local medical care, and making sure that they're there to support their clients. So I think the pandemic has really put a spotlight on the needs that travelers have. When the lockdowns occurred, there was a lot of travelers that couldn't get back to their home country. They were not able to leave the destination where they were. You saw them try to get compensated for a travel that never occurred. You had people worried about their health when they were traveling. And in the past, it's been noted that travel insurance is sort of a grudge purchase. You need it, but I don't really want to buy it, like all insurance. But it is there to help you protect your finances and to protect you and protect your health. And you'll see globally, travel insurers actually have access to emergency medical assistance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to help you as the traveler find the right medical care, find COVID testing, make sure that you're getting treated properly, and if you're sick, get back to your home country. So travelers, if you're looking at this, you've got to make sure that a few things. If you have a pre-existing medical condition, if you have a special need, make sure that the insurance coverage you get will provide coverage for you to help you if there is a problem. If you're going to participate in adventure sports, make sure that that coverage will cover you in case there's a problem. If you're going skiing, if you're going to be climbing, if you're going to be scuba diving, make sure that you get the right coverage, because the insurer can actually help you and allow you to find the right care in the country you're in, but also get you home. So there's a lot of areas that a traveler can depend on with the right type of insurance that's available. And I think with trip cancellation, what's going to happen now is with a pandemic, a lot of the transportation companies will provide some level of rebooking. So it's not going to be as much of a worry, but that will be a problem going forward, is to get trip cancellation that will cover in case of an outbreak or in case there's a government warning not to go. Because I think you've seen in the UK, for example, 1 week Spain or Portugal can be acceptable and the next week it's not. So it's very hard for an insurer to figure out where to provide the coverage and how to provide the coverage, and do it in an economical way. So today it's not just travel insurance. You can look at other tools to help you when you're traveling. Traveling today is complex, but it's not impossible. I've traveled from Canada to the UK. I'm going back to Canada. You have to take precautions. You have to make sure that you understand the protocols and the processes that are in place at the airports, the countries, the airlines, your hotel you're going to stay at. There are applications that you can actually download that are provided either by a travel and tourism company or that are independent applications. For example, Travel Navigator application has built-in COVID services, including Fit to Fly, the protocols in different countries or airports, integrating all of the information necessary to help ease the travel arrangements that you're doing and building in your itinerary. And I think you're going to see today more and more applications like this that will help you integrate, for example, your e-visa, your passport information, your border crossing capability, make sure that you can access the airport properly, and even house your COVID testing information. We all have to worry about privacy and security, but if we can take some of the complexity out of travel, I think these applications are well worthwhile. And there are a lot of insurance companies now that are building these applications into the insurance offering that they're providing so that you can access emergency assistance through the application very quickly, either chat, SMS, or email, or video consults with a physician directly through your mobile app. And I think all of these sort of take the worry out of all of the issues that we're facing. You know, when we're hearing about spikes in COVID infection rates, or we're hearing about problems or myths or lack of information that's out there, these applications can help inform, they can help direct, and they can help you through the complexities and create a simple solution. So I think, you know, a combination of the right insurance products covering you for your travel medical risks, trip cancellation if you can get it, although a lot of the airlines are being very flexible with their booking. And if you can get an application that can integrate those services, I think that's going to be a really good benefit for you in the future. Okay. You know, I think everybody should remember why we like to travel. I think that's really important. We like to travel because it's interesting. We get to meet other people. It's a cultural interchange. There's excitement. We can see things we don't have where we are. And I think for everybody, we have to remember that. And we can't lose hope. There are tools, there are services that can make travel easier for you today. It will be a problem for a while, but I can tell you, I'm a good example. I've been traveling. I take precautions. I wear a mask. I make sure I understand what I need to do when I get on a train, when I get on a plane, wherever I go. And I make sure I have the right insurance product with me. And there are experts out there that can help you. And I think the one thing you've got to remember is travel is important for us. You know, it makes the world a better place. I tell this to international students when they travel to learn in another country. It's very important for all of us. It's very important for us to have that connection with other people on this earth. There's a lot of stuff going on. And if we can just, you know, get out there and meet other people, physically distancing, yes. But if we can meet other people, and I think, you know, pretty soon we'll be back at it faster, but we've got to start. I want to get to a beach. I want to get to the ocean. So I'm working hard to make sure we've got the travel insurance products that will help you get there and the technology to help you get there.
Wow, that was a lot of information, Anita. Some good stuff there. But just for the audience to unpack a little bit all of that, what would you say is maybe 2 or 3 of the most important things you take away from that?
Goodness, Demian, I must say you're absolutely right. That is a lot to take on. And we must thank Robin for being so honest and making it quite personal. That's one of the biggest things that struck me when Robin was talking. The fact that at the end of the day, whether it's an insurance company, an insurer, whatever it is, these are humans. And they were going through the shock of seeing the world shut down at the same time as everyone else. What really hit me, though, was when he said about the fact that it wasn't like a normal insurance issue. An airline might go bankrupt and you deal with the passengers. Someone might fall sick, you deal with the traveler. 100% cancellations at the same time across the entire travel experience chain, from restaurants to hotels to self-catering accommodation, airlines, airports, everything shut down. How do you deal with that volume at the same time when you're in shock and people are coming to you and screaming at you because they need help right now? That really struck me.
Yeah, I think there's 2 points there for me. One was you as a traveler understanding that, but also you as a business who in the industry or relies on the industry, understanding the role that the insurance companies play in it and what they're going through. I think it makes everybody's business maybe a little bit more solid, understanding the relationship it got with insurers like Robin.
And I think I like to use the fact that you use the word relationship, because I love the fact that he himself said insurance is usually a grudge purchase and is usually deemed to be a challenge in the travel experience, not necessarily a liberator of the travel experience. But then he made the comment about the fact that travel products for insurance have not actually changed for 20 or 30 years. So the slowness of response was because there was never previously a need to innovate. There was never a need to pivot. But in many ways, now the product range is actually quite irrelevant. I also thought that within that, the product range itself and his recommendations of what people should look at was the fact that when people get into trouble, getting them home was their priority, not necessarily getting healthcare where they were. I thought it was just very human and made it very real in a way that makes us much more empathetic to the challenge of the insurance industry during COVID-19.
Yeah. And what about the future and the role of what do you say, the medical aspect of this, for example, for the airlines, et cetera? How do you think that's going to play out?
I think that's a really good point. And it's actually quite timeous that we're speaking to Robin at the time that I've just come out of the UNWTO Executive Council, because every country in the world wants to reopen travel and tourism again. They want the economies to reopen again and all the supply chains and the mental health component to be addressed. But this is a healthcare crisis. And it was interesting to hear from Robin clearly the way in which airlines, for instance, are now putting COVID care medical offers in their ticketing, so it's built in for the reassurance. But ultimately, it's actually not about the COVID care from a physical point of view. It's the mental peace of mind that just having that insurance will give to allow travelers to start traveling again, which means if we look at recovery of the entire travel and tourism world, central to that is actually going to be the insurance industry.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I got a mail yesterday from one of the major airlines. I guess I'm part of the loyalty program, saying, okay, we're redoing our cancellation policy once again, and you can cancel for whatever reason, any reason, no discussion whatsoever. And then, of course, there's with some exceptions. And I think that's interesting because they're trying to prevent the whole need in the way for the insurance issue, because they'll just take it head on, but it's still a little bit complicated. So there's still going to be a role for people who need advice and need help to understand their situation, the insurance that they need or don't need. And I think, well, things might be getting simpler. The role of insurance and travel is probably just going to grow, even if the companies are trying to take this head on themselves.
I love the fact that you mentioned the whole issue of needing information, because we almost need to remind ourselves of when this all started. It was happening so quickly. And a lot of the panic was because we were living the hypothesis. It's invisible, as we've always said on Rise, it's agnostic, and people were trying to figure out the problem before you could even begin to think about the solution. I thought that was a fascinating perspective, and Robin was really good in, as we always want with our executives and residents, taking us from the technical and the practical to the personal. Because at the end of the day, whether it's someone traveling, being on the receiving end, whatever it might be, we're all human, and no one in the world has been spared by this challenge, which is defining not just our industry, but our generation in many ways.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed and learned something from this episode, and with everything that Robin had to say, so much valuable stuff there. And hopefully they'll tune back in on the 28th of September for our next live episode, where we're going to focus on entrepreneurship, the struggles and opportunities that entrepreneurs are facing in this current environment and how they're planning for the future. Quite different from the larger companies, and some really interesting people will be on the show.
So Demian, can I say it? One time recorded. You all know the drill. Stay safe, stay strong, stay hopeful, and keep your hands clean. Take care, everyone. We'll see you on the 28th, and we'll see you live.
Bye, everybody, and safe travel home, Anita.
Thank you.